everyone, I'm Bromleigh McCleneghan, and I am one of the pastors here at Union Church. I am told that I am supposed to offer you this video to tell you a little bit more about myself. It's funny because since I am a preacher in the congregation and since we have been together in ministry for 5 years, you have heard a lot about me over time. And I've been racking my brains to try and tell you something new about me that you don't already know, and to do something interesting. So I was going to tell you that I love old homes. We have lived in our current house for just about 5 years. We moved in 5 years ago last week, right before I started at Union, when Hattie was just an infant still, and the girls were so excited to have a bigger house. We lived in this little tiny ranch beforehand, and there was just not room for another baby. So we moved, and now we live in this house, which was built, I think, in about 1930, and it's a great house for entertaining, which of course we don't get to do at all anymore right now. Perhaps because we are sad that our house isn't fulfilling its great function right now, or its greatest function. I mean, obviously it provides us safe food, safe shelter, and it's got air conditioning. So you know, it's doing its work. But perhaps because we can't enjoy entertaining in the big front room and the big dining room in these COVID days, we have turned our attention to some of the fix-it projects that we haven't really had a chance to do in the years that we've been living here. So Josh has planted a wildflower garden and is tending it at the moment. And the other thing that we've been doing just over the last couple days is starting to take up the horrible carpet that is on our second floor. So this carpet probably wasn't nearly as horrible when we moved in, but the slime craze that passed through the elementary schools last year really did a number. I think every room on this floor, save the bathroom, which is not carpeted, has a slime stain somewhere. And there are some other unrecognizable things that I'm not going to think too much about. So we have been trying our hand at pulling up carpets. We lived in parsonages when I was growing up, a number of really lovely old homes, and they all had carpet. And I think in just about every house we lived in, my mother at some point in my childhood pulled up the carpets, got permission from the chair of trustees, or the board of trustees, and pulled them up. So I remember sort of in the abstract what the work entails, but this is the first time trying it as an adult on my own. We are not going to sand and refinish them ourselves, though I do recall that she did a lot of that herself. But we'll probably try to call in some experts for that at some point. But this week we're doing a discovery mission to find out what is under these layers of carpet. And so I am going to transition shortly, and then I will show you a little bit about what we're working with. Mike has informed me that I have to make sure that I either keep this PG and bleep out any profanity that is uttered by Josh or I during this process. But I'm not worried. We already actually finished one room yesterday, and I think we've got the hang of it now. So barring any major surprises, you know, hopefully we'll be okay. Otherwise, I'll learn how to bleep things out. All right, stay tuned. Okay, so here we are. Here is the corner, the back corner of the master bedroom. You can see that we have radiator heat, and we're going to pull this up and back and see what we can find. All right, so there it is. And you can kind of pull it away from the wall with relative ease. This is a lot easier than the one in Callie's room that we did yesterday, so far at least. And now I'm going to pull out my trusty X-Acto knife and do a strip. We had a heck of a time figuring out how to get the blades in these buggers yesterday. So I'm going to pause you again, and then, or maybe I'll hand the phone to Fiona and she can record me trying to figure out how to cut a strip of this. So this part is sort of the most satisfying because, of course, you know what carpet is. You're accustomed to it. It's not like an unknown or particularly gross material, despite all the slime stains I mentioned. But then the next layer kind of falls apart a little bit more. And finally, the pulling the nail bars or the across the back wall, and there's a couple tacks in the middle. That is the hard part, and that is mostly what Josh has been doing as his primary assignment. All right. So you can see I got the first section of carpet off. It's always a little harder under the door, like under the closet door. We've been pretty lucky that this is stapled down instead of like glued down or stuck down with some other thing. I don't know if you would ever do that over hardwood floors. My knowledge is pretty limited. But anyway, there's this padding underneath, which usually comes up pretty easily, except in spots where it is like nailed down. So far the floors look pretty okay. Like I said, we're going to have to sand them down and probably restain them. But overall, I'm pretty pleased so far. So friends, after you pull up the carpet, you and the pad and all that business underneath it and get rid of it, then you'll see both along the edge there's these nail bars that you have to pull up, and then also there's staples that have been holding the padding in place. So you have to pull those up as well. Now, Josh is the expert on this part, and he's been doing it by sliding. We have a crowbar, but he's been sliding this screwdriver under and kind of wiggling it. Sometimes, depending on how they are, you have to stick it under each individual interval, and it takes forever. Same with this, and then you pull out your pliers and do it the rest of the way. We are moving right along. You can see too, after you pull up the carpets, you often have to like fix the baseboards because they've been covered by that. Don't look at the dust. That is the other thing that is absolutely horrifying about picking up the carpet, is how much dust there is underneath. So it is really gross and really grubby, and we have not actually, I feel like, done this kind of like hard, dirty work in a long time. So if any kids are particularly missing being on the mission trip or the work tour, you are welcome to come over to my house with a mask and help me with this. No, I'm kidding. You can't come over. We're all keeping very good distance these days. But so those are the next steps in the process. So we finished pulling up the carpet in 2 rooms, and it is definitely in need of being sanded and stained, but overall it looks pretty good, and we are enjoying the fruits of our labors. Here you can see what they look like. There's the radiator. So this was all like this white carpet that looked really gross, and you know, I can like still envision where the stain was from Callie's big slime incident one day, but we're very excited. The downside of all of this, of course, is that the dog is afraid of hardwood floors a little bit. So we're having to reacclimate her. So last night she didn't want to come and lay down in her customary spot. But alas, that was, this is the culmination of our project. So thanks for sharing this with us. Our marriage remains intact, despite all of the effort. I am proud that none of us swore on camera. And, yeah, so thanks for joining us. And this may be the last house project I ever share with you. But maybe we'll do something else another day. Thanks.